Okay, so I'm gonna preface this by saying that anything that is my opinion based on my trajectory, not based on your trajectory. So look through what feels right for the information, because I'm not making predictions, but I am going to share with you my trajectory. My trajectory right now is with the Divine Mother. So all through transparency. It is through the journey of finding ways in which I can open up my heart to more trust and faith in her and in the love she has for me. And as I look at this year and a half of very specific work, it's been from the beginning a journey to open up and know that I'm worthy of love and lovable, and all the human conditioning that is placed on any human having a human experience, which is placed on the ego, who's had the human experience the longest. So we've talked about ego before in the past. We've talked about how long ego's been on the planet, hence why we see the things we see. And yesterday I had there's a Brian Gumbel, season 25. I thought that was a lot of seasons. Season 25, episode 5, and it was talking about how the race horses, after they no longer can win races, are then sold to countries like Canada and Mexico, who buy them at auction for a few $100s and then use them for meat. And as you know, horse meat in America is a no bueno.
Please repeat.
Horse meat. Horse meat in Canada.
Please say the name.
Canada and Mexico. My car likes to talk in these videos. It's not the first time it's done it. I guess to bring laughter to. Anyway, so I started crying, obviously.
Please repeat.
I started crying, obviously. Harming anybody is devastating to my soul. I couldn't watch it, but it was pretty gruesome to know, and then just to think about all the gruesome acts that have occurred because...
Please say the name again.
Ego. Because of the ego. Because of the ego that does not know love, which is a part...
Cancel.
Okay. Which is part of the system in which we're in. The human conditioning comes along with an ego. You don't get to come in without one. So, hey yo for the egos. But when I hear people say like demolish the ego and do all that stuff, it would be like, okay, let's love everything but the ego. It's not inclusive. So what's inclusive and wholeness is to understand, more importantly, yourself, and that when we get the ego, we get the collective ego, which is part of every experience that has ever occurred on this earth. Again, I will preface, these are Susan's theories and feelings and knowledge, and that is what I'm bringing forth. It does not mean it's the sum total of a story, nor does it mean that you have to take on this. It's just an observation of what I've seen the story as thus so far. I've never had rude comments, so I don't even know why I'm oversensitive, but I just don't ever want to impose an ideology or layer of story or reality onto this channel. We are in constant flow, constant evolution, and constant expansion. So that is why I'm extra. So I'm extra with that stuff. So I see this yesterday, and it's not the first time I understand that harm is occurring to animals, I think of an animal as a child as much as we're a child, and it's no surprise that trees have been harmed, and it's no surprise that children, men, women, of every color, every race, have been harmed in some capacity, to some degree, from the ego. So we want to, get rid of that ego, but wholeness is about everything. And I feel when we've come into the system is to look at that. How you choose to look at it and what you do with it, that's up to you. But how I'm choosing to look at it and what I'm choosing to do with it is to understand and overstand and love and show compassion to what I would consider the weakest link, right? Of the awakened part of being's totality. And at the same time, that human ego has free will, which was given by the Divine Mother and Father, because they know that to truly empower and love the hurt of someone that does not know that they are loved, and therefore can show love, you surround them and you keep saying over and over again how much you love them until maybe a speck of that comes in. And that is how I see many of us who are awakening, even if it's to 1% or 100% or wherever you're at in the category, is that encompassing. So that's one piece of the story. But it's a good background story, right? Ooh, it's like a lot of, my ego loves that I love and is feeling that love. So it's really beautiful. So then now, let's go to the Divine Mother. So I'm having a conversation, I'm praying, and I want to know what I can do to add more love in these circumstances, that if they knew that they were loved, and they knew what love felt like, they would offer love out, right? This long-standing ancient ego that is connected to all of us. And so then I'm like, okay. And the Divine Mother reminded me of several things, so I'm sharing them with you. She reminded me of something I shared with all of you, which is that we are sacred sites. We are sacred sites. So in this dimension reality system, on this Lady Gaia of gorgeousness, we are shown sacred sites in the world. Everyone's directing us outside of ourselves. And we're taught that something outside of ourselves is sacred, but we are not sacred. We're sinners. So that's kind of funny to me. Anyways, so we're sacred sites, and it's the fine-tuning of that sacred site. So the wholeness is about your sacred site having all of its elements lined up, the codes, the love, all of it. It's everything. It's like the pyramids, right? The pyramids are sitting there, and they're a sacred site. When all those pieces come together, when all of those elements form and shape, that sacred site will be activated. The same thing is true for you. That sacred site within you, as you refine, as you work within the energy fractals that are being given to you, that are showing up for you, your storylines, your way in which you see things, all of it is you, the way in which you see out into the world. And I kept hearing the Mother say to me, the pain that's been going on is a story. The story is, and we're meant to feel helpless, or we're meant to feel from a 3D perspective how to go about praying, which by the way, absolutely works, because that's you going inside. But that we'll go back. Well, I know we'll go to that right now. Praying is about you understanding that your connection is within, and that is powerful. So that's the praying piece, right? And that connection, that oneness with everything and all that ever was, and that you are loved enough to be heard and seen. Hence praying. And that your voice matters, and that your heart matters, and that you matter, and that you are loved, right? It goes all back to this feeling of loved. And so I kept hearing her say, just let more of my love in, and you as a sacred site will be affecting this system like a rock that's been thrown into a river, right? And the ego can't comprehend that it affects anything, right? So we have to move through dense matter to help that dense matter remind itself of that love. So you're integrating the love into the dense matter. The dense matter would be considered the ego, but not just the ego that carries itself with you, but the collective ego. And this is all a program system, and the system has already been, it's already been set up for success. You're already here because it is successful. The mere fact that you came knowing what you know in your purest form already set in motion the reset. It's now bringing all the pieces together like a symphony, right? So the low notes and the high notes and the various notes are coming online again. And the remembrance of the ancient parts of yourself are coming online. And the sky is singing the symphony, and it's singing it through sounds. And I went to this art gallery yesterday, and there was a dome, and in the dome, wherever you're at, there was like a chance to connect like you're on the phone directly with someone. And they were strangers, and we were connecting, and it felt like they were right whispering into your ear on such an intimate level, or speaking directly into your ear. This closeness that I realized how far apart we are, and how far apart we are, and how that experience showed me that. But then it also showed me, right, for what's to come, that we will be close again. We will be speaking intimately to one another, next to each other, inside, hearing this togetherness. And I feel, for me, the way to do that is to keep letting in more of the Divine Mother's love, and to know that I am loved, and to let my ego know that my ego is loved. So we're not separating out one piece that doesn't deserve or can have love. Because if we separate out one piece within ourselves, we separate out the pieces outside of ourselves from the inside out approach. And that is what I want to share with you. And in my opinion, it's golden. In your opinion, it's up to you. You have the right to have your own opinion about information. You know, is your ego ready to feel love? Is it ready to let in the love of the Divine Mother? And that's all this ride has been for the last year and a half. And really, prior to that, all my life, is that remembrance of I am loved. I am not forgotten here. I am not unloved. I have not been left behind. I am not a sinner. I am here because my heart is so big that I knew that I could remember, and I knew I could let love in, and I knew that I, at that time, would be part of the solution. And I picked the exact ego, and we selected exactly when we would come. And this remembrance of not being abandoned is another place to let in that love. And there's so many places. And if you understand that I'm your reflection, it's the part in you that's a fractal called Susan that is remembering that peace. And it's allowing remembrance of your peace. You know, and that's that oneness piece that we hear about, but it doesn't have any defined visions and looks. And I also spoke about this last thing, and I'll say it and then we'll light and code this. I asked you to ask yourself what your energy looked like, to play with that inner child. If you see some of the most amazing things that have been in the sky lately, 5D world, I'll put her link below. Colorado skies. Oh yeah, fifth world, 5D world. I've got actually 3 that I'm going to recommend. I'm going to put them all 3 down. Are seers, and they see things in the sky, but they don't just see it. Their knowing self is helping shape it, and that to me is like, I watch it and I'm in awe and I'm inspired. So I'm on the road. I've been crying. Let's stop the video for right now. Let's light and code it. I encode this video with the highest light, highest level, highest of sounds and vibration for all my brothers and sisters of the light, so that they may know themselves, so they may be themselves, so they may expand themselves in the way that is the highest